I am currently streaming with my new paid for StreamYard to my accounts on X, on Odyssey, as well as YouTube. So before my subscription expires on StreamYard, the bells and whistles version, the all bells and whistles version, I will do as much as I can to test out its features. So this is a test stream, so I will yes, I should settle down and concentrate on and talk to you properly instead of fiddling around and looking for things to click on. But on the other hand, I am also I'm trying to learn about how to do it. So I should give you some content and talk about what I've been doing. I'm actually supposed to be streaming with John Kishler, but he has turned out into a no-show cancellation. He did say he was looking forward to it. Who knows what might have happened. But anyway, I thought I'd go live and talk to you all. Unfortunately, I can't see your comments. And I can't post comments to you. Possibly no one. Okay, one person is viewing. I don't know where you're from either. But thank you for coming. I suppose I should tell you about how Koraniyule is coming along. I think it has been really quite nice, the compliments I've received about my interviewing skills, and I'm also getting a different kind of guest, and I'm very pleased about that. And I've also managed to keep in touch with the people that knew me from the beginning. So I've spoken to a few of them, and I think I am covering a nice range of people, a nice collection of people, and I hope this will advance the narrative. What is the narrative? It is that we are progressing towards either correction or disaster. I hope it will be correction, simply because it's so easy to see what the problem is. The problem is people are stuck in their ways. They don't want to admit they're wrong. They don't want to change their ways. And they sort of know that if they start changing one thing, they'll have to change another thing. And it's a can of worms. And they don't even want to begin to do that. And I perfectly understand. I think we all of us have some undone thing, shall we say. We all have an undone thing that we wish we would do, and we probably don't want to do it because it will mean so much disruption. But it needs to be done, and bad things will happen if we don't do it. And we sort of know that already. And when you are a civilization and an empire, and you have all these things that you have not formally acknowledged or publicly announced, and error piles on more error, then you are going to have a lot of problems in the end. And it's now it's now happening. Now, I just watched Peter Lavelle on Crosstalk discussing with his guests how one goes bankrupt, and he said you go bankrupt gradually and then suddenly. So it is something to bear in mind. I am very pleased that I've managed to find people who at least are prepared to engage on the topics that I wish to discuss. And even though they don't agree with me, they feel sufficiently confident in their principles to want to argue about it. And that, I think, is at least principled and masculine, because if you really, 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 really did believe in your belief system, then you should be prepared to take on all challenges and defend it to the death and accept it if your belief system turns out to be wrong. This is I suggest to you, a survival strategy. If your belief system is wrong, then get a better one, get the right one, or get one that is not so incorrect. Doubtless there will be many of you who think, what is the problem with carrying with the wrong thing? Nobody will notice, or not enough people will notice, or perhaps I'll get away with it. But the point is, somebody will have to pick up the pieces, and it will be your children if you have any, and if you don't have children and don't intend to have any, then the problem is demographic, isn't it? It's because you don't have children that you don't care about the future. But if you did have children and you did parent them properly and you are quite fond of them and want to leave things in a reasonably good state, then you would try a little harder to make things right. I see Conops has come and tells me I have one viewer. In fact, I have 7 according to the counter. Now, would you like to come? I can give you the link, so maybe you'd like to join. I actually have to go. Well, I have to go before 9, I suppose, but I have time to spend some time with you, Conops. I haven't spoken to you in quite a while now. Oh, 8 viewers. Where do they come from? I think it might be my new viewers because of Koraniyule. Would you like to be on Koraniyule, Conops? But this was only good in 3 minutes, so I'll continue to witter on about how much psychology is required in political activism. I never knew there could be so many blind spots in so many people, so much neurosis, denial. But then I am reminded that there is this mention of a stiff-necked people in the Bible. So I guess people were always like that. They did like to admit their mistakes and probably tried as hard as they could to ignore their mistakes or cover them up. But sometimes the dust that you sweep under the carpet has become a mountain, or at the very least something that presents a tripping danger. And Europe is in a very dangerous place at the moment because of that stupid war and how the vice president and president of the EU is seemingly reckless about the future of Europe. Nobody really knows what America is doing. Trump is supposed to have, well, he's supposed to be ending the neocon wars, but it seems that he has a different idea. Nobody really knows what he thinks. And I'm reminded of what was it, a movie about who has got the president's mind or something of that nature? Perhaps it's just a political fact that no American president controls US foreign policy, and therefore it doesn't matter which president, it doesn't matter who is president, he doesn't control foreign policy, and it's always more and more American imperialism, which means more and more neocon wars. To the extent that it now has a business model, which is that of bombing the crap out of oil rich Muslim countries and then inviting or shipping them over as cheap labor. Some might think it's a very clever way of getting cheap labor, but then predictably causes problems with the locals who have a problem with the newcomers and their numbers. And we know it doesn't happen in just one country in the West. It's a Western phenomenon. And it's something to do with birth rates, the very, very low birth rates of the West. People talk about Japan, but apparently in Japan, the fastest growing religion is Islam. So they run out of Japanese-like people to be their cheap labor. The Koreans, the East Asian types, and now they're forced to allow in Muslims from Bangladesh, it seems. Hooray, Conops is here.
Well,
Hello.
good evening to you, Claire. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Long time no speak, so what have you been up to?
I've been very, very busy working. So yeah, now finally Christmas time, some more time for myself and the wife. So doing good, doing
Hmm.
good. How's your Christmas? Christmas time, December coming along.
Well, I've been busy with Koraniyule, if you've watched any of them. I'm sure you haven't.
No,
Um,
don't have time.
yeah, and yeah, but I think things are cooking. I'm talking to more Americans, boomers. Um,
Boomers.
yes, you know the people that so many Zoomers have a problem with, and I think by getting a range of different people on Koraniyule, um, more intergenerational dialogue might be facilitated. What do you say?
Fascinating. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's the same old people or new people.
New people, they're actually new people. Do you, how are your communications with your parents? I mean, do they do you see eye to eye about politics or not really?
Not really. I don't think we differ that much, but I think they're more left wing than I am, more establishment. This might surprise some people because they think I'm establishment, but no, I think they're more left wing. I think my mom is a green lefty, my dad is yeah, a social democrat, and I have some like leftist tendencies, but I think I'm more like a populist, somewhere in between. I never know where to place myself politically.
Hmm.
Um, Well, yeah, somewhere in the middle, but I think I'm further to the right than they are.
Yes, so I suppose you would consider the beliefs of your parents to be luxury beliefs. You've heard that expression.
Well, I mean, they come from the generation of the '60s. I mean, my dad was born in the late 1940s. So yes, essentially, it's a baby boomer, and he saw all the wealth that came. There was a new youth culture, and my mom came from the very conservative countryside, so she was the oldest of eight.
Mm,
So the people there took the slogan "Go forth and multiply" very seriously. By the way, my grandma was the middle of 16, so very austere Protestant background.
mhm.
So for her, the '60s were liberation. She moved out when she was 16. She said, "Screw this." When it comes to the big city to find my freedom.
Yes. You sort of said they were hippies or something,
For
or did I
sure.
misremember?
Yeah, no, they, for sure they were hippies, but not too much in the sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind, but more to in tuned into like Mother Nature. They even went to the countryside at some point because there was a whole movement to go back to nature, to go to the countryside, and they were part of that. Turned out to be a little bit too boring in the end, so they settled in a sort of middle-sized town for some time, and there is where I was born.
Hmm. Yes, there's so much of um, Holland that is very quaint, but I get the impression that when I talk to people who call themselves Zoomers, they blame Boomers that there's already this pre-existing enmity. So apart from blaming immigrants and Muslims and Jews, they now blame their parents. Is this something that is noticed or discussed by you?
Well, no, I'm a millennial, so for me, I don't have the Zoomer resentment. I mean, we've seen it sort of falling apart, but I don't know. For us, I think we still sort of go with the system. We saw the prices of the houses going up, but I think for Zoomers, they are confronted with a much more stark reality that it's quite evident that now there's not an affordable house to be had for most people. I mean, I've seen it a lot. Like where I live, a lot of my friends, middle class friends, teachers, police officers, move out, can't afford it anymore.
Where do they move to?
The countryside or small little villages to get babies.
Mm. Yeah, some people in pretty villages also complain, in that there's a lot of um, people with a lot of money buying, second homes, which causes a lot of resentment.
Yeah, for sure. In big cities as well, by the way. I mean, if London famously had this whole street, I don't forgot what the street was, but it was bought up by
Bishop's
Saudi
Avenue,
billionaires.
Bishop's Avenue, probably in Hampstead, maybe.
Yeah, quite possibly. And it was like completely empty. There was no daycare. There was nothing. It was like people. There was no infrastructure anymore. People couldn't do anything. They couldn't raise their children. They couldn't go to the theater or whatever. Or there were no shops there because it was all bought up by Saudi billionaires that usually lived in Saudi Arabia or Qatar or whatever most of the year, and then only use it for holiday houses.
Yes, there's something very sterile about the top addresses of your city, and
Mhm.
it's just sort of lack of proper shops. We want a proper, we want a butcher's, we want a hardware shop, and not just cafes and restaurants and nothing else but.
Yeah, well, I
And
mean, in my town, there's nothing useful in the center to be found. I'm sure London is the same.
well, it depends on which neighborhood you go to. But when I go to a lively neighborhood, it's usually Asian or Muslim with butchers and hardware shops, and just a sense of real people with real families live here, and of course the food and fruit are cheaper. You know.
Yeah, but it's also the capital cities who are over flooded with tourists. It is like if you go to London and you're in the center of London, you're in Leicester Square, for example, there's nothing useful to be found. There are all these like tacky bars with big neon lights. That's not what you want for in a city, not even as a tourist to visit. But I hate to visit the center of London. I don't really like it. I like the neighborhoods there, but don't like the the center. Let's say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't, gone anywhere in London for fun now for ages. But the last time, there's the sort of new thing of for buskers. So it's now more organised. So the standard of musicianship is actually much better because they have
Oh,
their pitch and it's all organised and and they can actually sing and play.
well, I actually like the terrible musicians. And I hate it. It's one of these things that the Karens do when they come in a city. They try to clean everything up, and as a consequence, it becomes a very boring place.
Yes, yes. I mean, I haven't seen anybody play the bagpipes. I mean, I always long to say, I'll pay you money to just stop playing. Bloody
Well, there's
hell.
one thing I do really hate, and that's bagpipes. So yeah, I'm gonna have, like murderous tendencies when I hear them.
Yes, well, how can you think this sounds nice? Why would you want to learn?
Ah,
But um,
ah.
but then why would you want to wear a
Scotland was a
skirt?
mistake, I would say.
Yes. And I mean, have you been any political developments in, you know?
Well, we had elections.
Yeah, so
Uh,
more and more people are voting Geert with Wilders.
well,
Is that
actually, less. No, no, no. He used to have 38 seats in parliament. Now that has reduced to 26, and now it's not even the largest party anymore. I think he also excluded himself, yeah, from the other parties by leaving the coalition, and I don't think nobody wants to work with him anymore at this moment.
well, did he say anything wrong? I mean, did people sort of not know he had a problem with Muslims?
No, no, I don't think that's it. I think he gambled by joining this coalition, and it just didn't really work out. He found for a minister of immigration a really incompetent woman who was an ideologue and didn't want to make compromises and didn't know how to work with the yeah with the fourth power. How do you call them? The not the ministers, but yeah, the officials. You know. So she
Right.
was, yeah, she's well, was just really, really bad at it, and that drove, I mean, other parties to say that they couldn't really take him seriously anymore.
Hmm. I mean, what do you think of Ursula von der Leyen and Kaya Kallas being these two warmongering women in what's supposed to be an economic zone?
Yeah, but we profoundly disagree about this subject. I mean, warmongering. I think Russia is more warmongering.
Hmm.
I mean, weakness is provocative. If we're going to just lie over and lay down, there are some really big issues with the Baltic states, with Russian minorities. I mean, at some point, that's going to lead to troubles as well. I mean, this is where the buck needs to stop.
What do you mean by that? You fight it out with
Well,
Russia? I mean, is any European prepared to risk their life over it?
we don't have to. Why would we risk our lives for it? I don't
Well,
think it's
well,
necessary.
well, I mean, we seem to be being prepared for war. I mean, and people are talking about conscription.
Yeah,
Is
but
there to
that
that?
will be yeah, but that will be a matter of deterrent, right? So with Russia, it's a problem of deterrent. Russia was not deterred because Ukraine is not in the European Union and it's not in NATO. And
Yeah, but it's part of the NATO plan to encircle and intimidate Russia,
well, I
isn't
don't.
it?
I mean, they started with Georgia, right? South Ossetia and these
Well,
areas, and it seems like they're expanding their territory. I don't know if it's just
but didn't
encircling. It's
Georgia used to be Russian? I mean, after all, Stalin came from Georgia, didn't he?
was
So
part of the
they were
Soviet
just
Union. Was part
previously
no, it was part of
Russian.
the Soviet. It was part of the Soviet Union. It was not part of Russia.
Yeah, but I mean, the Soviet Union was just a name given to Russia after the monarchy was abolished.
I don't even know if it was part of the Soviet Union. Was it part of the Soviet Union or is it part of the
Well, I
Warsaw
mean,
Pact?
Stalin came from Georgia. Did you not know
Yeah,
this?
yeah, I did know that. But okay, there are many kind of minorities that were part of the Soviet Union, but also maybe some of part of the Warsaw Pact that just were leaders in the Soviet Union. So I don't actually know. I don't remember.
Hmm. Well, I mean,
But I think it was part of the Soviet Union. Whatever what it was, that's not part of Russia. I mean, now you see Russia is actually trying to conquer territory proper, and they want to have the Russian minorities in their realm. And the problem is that many countries have Russian minorities. So
well, yes, I guess the kind of all over the place, but this is a surprising piece of information that the country with the most Muslim people, guess which country it is?
Russia,
Yeah,
all right,
but I mean, it's nothing new.
and Europe, yeah. Um, but yeah, I don't know what you're trying to say with why is it relevant that they have the most like Muslim population. By the way,
Well, I suppose everybody's thinking of Londonistan and all that kind of thing, but I mean, traditionally, historically, there were already plenty of Muslims within the Russian Empire. That's all
yeah.
I'm trying to say, which of course people forget, because I guess they only think of their own Western country being full of immigrants and Muslims, right?
Mhm.
And
Well,
and
I have to say that the Russians had major problems with that. The Chechen wars, the second and the first, were dreadful, terrible. Great loss of life, percentage of the population way higher than Gaza.
well, the Chinese also had a bit of a problem with their own Muslims, but that's only to be expected with minorities. If you're an empire, there's bound to be, from time to time, a bit of unrest.
Yeah, that's why it's not great to be an empire.
Well, you can say that since you've lost yours.
Yeah, I mean, like you have to deal with people if they want their independence and they want their sovereignty. You have two choices: either you accept it or you crush it. And the crushing of the sovereignty is going to be very bloody.
Yes, yes, as a French discovered. But Belgium is interesting. I mean, it was only recently that I realized it's actually still a monarchy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So it's this sort of weird country in Europe where it's like you're just a little country, but everybody wants to locate their HQ in
Hmm.
Brussels, kind of thing. Like it's NATO HQ and EU institutions, all in Brussels. And once I joined my parents who were doing a European tour, and we had this very knowledgeable Belgian guide whom I was sure was actually a man, because he was very tall. She was very tall and very had a deep voice, but very knowledgeable, and the way she was talking about Belgium, it's like, oh, and we were in this part of this empire, the Habsburgs and the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatnot,
Oh, for
and
sure.
they were just sort
There's
of proud
another.
to be part of this empire and that empire.
Yeah, so for the Belgians, things are very different than for the Dutch. So the Belgians, of course, had the Holy Roman Empire, actually the Habsburgs, the House of Habsburgs, at some point had their court in Brussels. And for some Belgian people that don't really like their country because their country is already divided up in the Flemish and the Walloon part, they have this nostalgia for the empire of Charles V. So they
Hmm.
actually want to reconstitute the empire with the European Union. I definitely think that's true for people like Guy Verhofstadt, for example.
But who? Sorry, I didn't quite catch the name.
Guy Verhofstadt, the very pro-European guy. He's like the
Right,
Belgian politician. Yeah, you just see him talking like a proper European imperialist, like an old Habsburg.
right. I suppose for Brussels, the reason why they have so much, they appear to be so influential is just because of where they are in Europe. Whenever whenever the Europeans want to fight with each other, they always want to fight it out in the boxing ring that is Belgium and your country too. It seems
Yeah, although I would say Belgium is much more sort of central and
flatter.
used to be much more central for that empire as well.
Yes.
So, I mean, we were always at the periphery. So, I mean, when Amsterdam only had 30,000 people, Antwerp had 100,000.
Mhm.
Brussels used to be the seat of power, and all the important noblemen, they had a court in Brussels.
So, do you think you could tell me a bit about your monarchy? It's quite a new one, isn't it, compared to the British one? It was established,
Yeah,
what, only a few hundred years ago?
yeah. 200 years ago, give or take.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, it all went down after Napoleon. So the French invaded the Netherlands in 1795. Couple years later, of course, Napoleon came to power. Napoleon put his little brother Louis on the throne here. So actually, then the Netherlands was turned into a monarchy. But when the French were defeated, basically at the Congress of Vienna, the Metternich, the outside powers decided for us that we needed to be a monarchy. And then the monarchy was established, and a man of the House of Orange was shipped in to become our first legitimate king, Godwin the First. And
Right.
then
So
during that,
where did the House of Orange come from? I thought they were Dutch. You're saying you, a Dutchman, that he had to come from somewhere else. So where did he come from?
well, really, he was in exile at the time.
Oh,
So yeah, so in the Dutch Republic, things worked a little bit different. We had a stadtholder, and the stadtholder was the most important military leader of the Dutch Republic. But he was always beholden to the States General, and that was the Assembly of States. They decided basically everything. And I would say the Dutch Republic was a bit of a tug of war between the House of Orange on the one hand, and then sort of the merchants and the states on the other hand, and sometimes one won, the other times the other one won. But the very important thing about the stadtholder was that he was elected, so the states could also decide not to have a stadtholder. So they were never acquired kings and queens. Only after Napoleon did the House of Orange become proper kings and queens.
yeah. I mean, the Holy Roman Empire is pretty weird, isn't it? Having elected kings and having an elector. So I guess that was a way to stop all the kings from fighting.
Yeah, for
I,
sure. But very, very important, you're skipping a little bit of time. So we used to be part of the Holy Roman Empire for a very short time. We were
Mhm.
united by the Burgundians. So the Burgundians united the whole territory that we now know as Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands into one sort of territory.
Call the Low Countries.
Yeah, the Netherlands, which is
Mhm.
Low Countries. And
Mhm.
when Charles V bequeathed his empire to his son Philip II, and also, by the way, of course, also to his brother Ferdinand. And so his brother Ferdinand took the sort of the Austrian branch, and then the King of Spain, Philip II, his son, became also not just King of Spain, but also Lord of the Netherlands and many other territories as well. But the problem was, of course, the Reformation. So yeah, when people started to read their own Bibles, they didn't want to listen to the Pope anymore, and the Reformation commenced. And of course, this led to the sending of the Spanish Inquisition, and that led to revolt. So you have to imagine that many like Dutch noblemen they were beheaded in Brussels for not preventing the destruction of the churches that were desecrated in 1566 with iconoclasm. So
Mhm.
yeah, these noblemen were murdered and killed, except for one, and that was, of course, William of Orange. And William of Orange,
Right.
he
So there
led the
was a
revolt.
massacre of the Protestants during the Counter Reformation. Is that what you're saying?
There was a massacre. Yeah, there was a massacre. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So when the churches were destroyed, you know that the whole in the Netherlands and Belgium, all these Catholic churches were transformed into sort of Protestant churches by mobs. Like many images were destroyed, graven images. And that led to a reaction from the King of Spain. So that basically meant he sent his most bloody subordinates, Fernand Alvarez de Toledo, the Duke of Alba, to put things in order. And he made such a terrible mess of it. He was so immensely cruel that the Dutch thought, okay, we need to revolt. And then the revolt was led by our highest nobleman, the nobleman William of Orange, who was the sort of the only nobleman that kept his head because he fled to Germany because his base was always in the German Empire, which is so the Holy Roman Empire. There was his base. He came from Nassau, and he had an area in France which is called Orange, hence the Prince of Orange.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, that ignited the 80 Years' War of
Hmm.
independence. But of course, the southern areas, what is now is Belgium, got reconquered by the Spanish.
Hmm.
And the Netherlands got reunited with Belgium over only after Napoleon. But then in 1830, they started a revolt because our King William I at the time was too Protestant and too authoritarian.
Right. So the how do you feel about your monarchy?
Oh, I'm not a big fan. I think they're still usurpers, but I mean, I don't really care about it. I do think their party, King's Day, is quite fun once a year. And so I turned into a Republican for, sorry, I turned into a monarchist for one day.
Yeah, you
Um,
have some sort of party in the summer, don't you?
it's a crazy. No, it's not in the summer. It's it's in April, the end of April.
Okay.
It's a massive cool party, particularly in Amsterdam.
Okay, so you have a party kind of thing. I think I was there once, um, and then I noticed how obediently that the um, Dutch king and queen would sort of retire at 60 or something. Whenever their son, or daughter, married and had good-looking children,
Yeah,
the
it,
parent would gracefully retire, unlike the British one.
yeah. I mean, it's much better for a family relationship. Is it not much better? I mean, like Charles had to wait for his mom to go. It was like waiting until until she finally kicked the bucket, until he could really take over power. Here, our last queen just said enough is enough, so she abdicated, and her son Willem Alexander took over.
Yes, but I suppose it's a different kind of monarchy. I guess the British would take theirs more seriously because they've had so many, they've always been a monarchy.
Yeah,
Okay,
exceptions
apart
with
from
Oliver
Cromwell.
Cromwell, but yeah, they have much of a longer monarchical tradition than we have. For us, I mean, our king still doesn't have a crown.
Why not?
Well, that's also dating
You,
back
you,
from
you
the
can't. You're too
Republican
mean.
time.
You're too mean to buy him a crown.
Yeah, that is also very likely. Some cliches are true. Um, but it also has to do with the reluctant acceptance of this of this monarchy that was imposed on us by outsiders.
Oh yes, but by Spain, you said, was it, or
No, no, no. It
or
was the
the
monarchy was
Metternich?
imposed. Yeah, Metternich,
Mm-hmm.
had by the victorious powers over Napoleon. They
Mm-hmm.
decided that the Netherlands should be a monarchy because of their fear of the what happened in the French Revolution returning again.
Yes, and now Christendom is all but extinct, really.
Well, I've heard some studies of Generation Z actually becoming more religious, also in the Netherlands.
Yeah, but it's a kind of, when we were great and living in the golden age of Europe, and you sort of think, when was it a golden age? You were always fighting each other. You want the Napoleonic Wars? Boy, that was fun. you know. But I think people are kind of sentimental, or sort of like, oh, when we were Knights Templar slaying Jews and Muslims in the Levant, that was great. You can almost sort of read the thought bubbles in their heads for people who like that sort of fantasy. But I mean, they probably wouldn't like it, right?
So yeah, oh, I don't know if they actually would like it. If they're like in the front fighting, I don't think most people actually like that. They like the romance of it, but I think those dreams of heroism turn sour quite easily
Hmm.
if you're in the real situation. So
Yes.
it's actually very boring. What I read about like diaries of people that are fighting on the front lines, mainly they're very bored, and then they want action, but then just so terrible what happens. You get PTSD, traumatized, very difficult to reintegrate into society. Yeah, so yeah, I don't think it's an easy life. War is bad, Claire. War is bad.
I've never been a warmonger. I think it is appalling that Europeans, of all the people in the world, are countenancing a war on their own continent, and
I
they
mean,
should know enough from their own history that every time they have a war on their own
who
continent, it turns to a
started the
war.
war? Who started the war, Claire?
The neocons, NATO.
No, Russia. Russia started the war. Who invaded Ukraine?
We know the Europeans basically do whatever
Who?
Washington
Yeah,
tells them
but
to.
who invaded Ukraine? Can't answer
It's sort
that.
of like, somebody really provoking you and following you around and swearing at you and mocking you, and then you punch them. And then they say, oh, but it Conops punched a person who'd been following and stalking them for years, right? And slandering them and defaming them and lying about them. And then finally, Conops lost his temper and punched the person, but he
Well,
still.
well, 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 well Konops should be more adult and find some better ways to solve his problems with these people than punching them.
Well, I mean, basically the Europeans are mad anyway. They don't have a single national leader who actually cares about the national interest of their nation. I mean, apart from Orban, he's the only one who's saying, I don't think it's a good idea to continue with this war. And everybody's saying, oh, who are you? You're just stupid and little, and who cares about Hungary? And everybody
Yeah,
just.
Hungary is playing a very, very strange role in this whole conflict, I would say.
Well, he has many admirers, Orban. I mean, just because what he says kind of makes sense. Like, why are we fighting the Russians? Don't we
Because,
want cheap energy? You know. So anyway, recently I thought, my secular Quranism. I thought, um, the European Union with secular Quranism with EU characteristics, I think would work very nicely. And if we included Russia, then we would have peace in a greater part of the world. And it's always the
and what if
Europeans.
it doesn't? What if it didn't? So the problem is here is that okay, so they invaded Georgia already, then they invaded Ukraine, and now if you're not going to respond to this, Russia can always think they have a carte blanche to do whatever they want.
You've heard the term revanchism, right? It's like that used to be my part of that used to be under control. We're just taking it back again,
Well,
right?
look, in Russia they had a poll over or a survey, opinion survey over who they found was the best Russian president previous century, and you know who was elected to be the greatest Russian? Joseph Stalin.
Well, I guess it was either him or Trotsky, right?
I mean, they could check out, I don't know, Brezhnev. They could have checked Yeltsin. They could even chose Putin, but
Yeltsin
they
wasn't
chose
drunk.
Gorbachev. They could have chosen
Gorbachev was
everybody.
betrayed, though, the Russian people. He was stupid.
But then Joseph Stalin, the person that created millions and millions of death, um, primarily because of incompetency, and
Well,
just with
yes, I mean,
Mao.
you could say the same thing about Mao, but I mean, the
Yeah, yeah,
Chinese remain grateful that at least it wasn't, the other guy, what's his name? Chiang Kai shek. Is that?
yeah.
There's some, maybe I got it wrong. Because, the Taiwanese people are kind of Christian and under the spell of the West.
I mean, people are relatively happy. They don't live in such a police state as China. Would you prefer to live in Taiwan or in China?
Well, I actually haven't been to Taiwan, but I mean, I know people who've been there and it seems to be okay. But, basically,
Much nicer
Taiwan
than
is,
China.
well, I've been to China and it's jolly nice. I mean, I
If
know
you're
you,
not,
you've
if
got
you're
all
a
kinds of
tourist and you
weird
can exit,
stories about it, but I found it very, I mean, the people were nice.
how do you like how they treat the Uyghurs?
I don't know any Uyghurs, and it's all Western propaganda anyway.
So the camps don't exist where they
I
try to
don't
convert
know. I
people.
haven't
They
seen
even
them.
had like there had to be a Han Chinese in people's houses because otherwise they didn't trust people. It's
I've heard all kinds of stories, but I have no personal knowledge of them. All I can say was that when I went to China, the people were perfectly friendly, and the place was clean and quite advanced compared to here. And they even have shows in the evening, and the streets were clean and safe.
But the fact that people are friendly everywhere.
Well, it depends on whether whether you feel safe, right? And okay, I was with some people and they were shouted at by the park attendant, but even that I found reassuring. So, if they shouted at you to sit up properly because you're slouching and lying on, in a kind of tramp-like way, the controlling behavior, it's like, well, don't you try, even more disorderly behavior, not.
Yeah, because otherwise your head would be on CCTV, and we're gonna check you down, and we're gonna know where your children go to school,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
we're
well,
gonna
same
know where
here.
you
I
find
mean,
you.
they could easily do that here. Oh, yes, and don't step on the grass. It's that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, yeah. I hate that kind of
I know, but then
state, which includes, by the way, your state where you're living now, which is Britain, which is a total Karen tyranny, where they have all these like needless warnings, even in baths. I would go to a hotel in London, and it would say on the bath, "Beware, it can be slippery." Like I'm some kind of bloody fool. I mean, what what is that
I,
shit?
I think it,
And
I
it's
think
like
it came from America. The whole,
health and safety. It's just ghastly.
yeah. I think it's to protect themselves from being sued by any hotel guest that fell over or something.
I mean, the Dutch court would actually throw that out immediately, and rightly so. You didn't pay attention in a bath. You don't know a bath is slippery. You're a fucking moron. Pay for it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, the famous case was McDonald's was sued by somebody who had hot coffee spilled over him, and then they had to write the stupid warning on the coffee cup saying, you know, contents hot.
But even like public institutions, was it the British, the what is it, like the national, not the National Museum, the one that is about the dinosaurs. I don't know if you know that
The
one.
Natural History Museum.
Natural History Museum, yeah. In the natural before the natural history, they have all these like sort of like fences that they have pikes, and they said like jumping over it can result into serious injury. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you think I'm mad? Yeah.
But obviously somebody attempted to do that and must have got hurt and maybe tried to sue them or something. I don't know.
I'm not a social Darwinist, but with these people, I think like survival of the fittest. If you're dumb enough to slip in your bath, or if
Mm,
you're dumb enough to impale yourself with pikes, uh, you don't have the right to survive. I'm sorry.
I
It's
agree. Yeah.
so
Yeah, we've
it's
turned
totally
into the
not the kind of
nanny
state I
state.
want. Sorry.
We've turned into a nanny state.
Yeah, 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 for sure. I mean, that's what I would hate the most, and I think China is a great example of a nanny state, and with all its the new technology, it's just really undesirable. You can think maybe of people who have like totalitarian tendencies that it might be fine to have order and regulation, but the order that you'll now get because of AI, because of all the new technology, is just all so encompassing that it's unlivable.
You've never been to China, have you?
No, 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 no. And I was actually intending to go this year, but I have to go to the third time in the third time to Thailand this time.
Right. On a
So
holiday or is it business?
4 weeks holiday, chilling out, just doing resorts and shit, relaxing. Because yeah, we're not in a situation where we can, how would you say, like backpack anymore, and
Hmm.
that's not possible. So we have to. Keep it a little bit more slow, but it's also
Yeah.
fine because usually after a holiday I'm not rested. But a couple of weeks ago I went to Egypt for
Hmm.
a week holiday, and I went to this resort. And I hate resorts, but I came back and I loved it. because it was just I felt like I went on a proper holiday. I felt rested. I felt like I can work again. I feel good.
Hmm. And where did you stay in Egypt? Did you go on a river cruise, a Nile cruise?
No, 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 no. We just spent 7 days in a resort next to a very nice reef. So we like diving and snorkeling and stuff like that. So we had a
Mm.
house reef, and my wife can't dive at the moment.
Oh,
So that's
you can you're a diver, can you know?
I
What do you call
dived. I took 2 dives, but normally I
it?
would do more if my
Hmm.
wife was allowed to do it as well.
Hmm. Well, it takes about a week to do it. I mean, to learn the course, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm advanced, so I did all my studies. I
Hmm.
have 2 dive certificates actually.
No, well done.
Yeah, no, it's fun. You
Yeah,
should
I
do
mean,
it, Claire.
I did it, but it took a whole week, to do the course and all, go through all the routine.
Yeah, I
You
mean it's
know,
a little bit of investment
I've
of your
forgotten how
time.
to do it now, anyway.
Oh, but you
Putting on
can
all the
dive.
equipment. Pardon?
Yeah, but usually I don't know if you go to like places like Colombia or I would say more luxury places, then they do it for you all the equipment. I hate to do the equipment as well. Just like to
Hmm.
dive.
Oh, so you've been to Colombia? What do you think
Yeah.
of that?
Oh, that was a
Is it
very
safe? Is it
very
safe? It used
beautiful
to be
beautiful
quite
country.
unsafe. Hmm.
Sorry.
I've heard it used to be, well, not very safe, drug cartels and things.
Oh, that's over now.
Hmm.
The drug cartels have been crushed, basically. Um, Things are much more quiet there. Also, the FARC insurgency has dissipated, and they are now trying to reintegrate these people into society.
Right. And what is there to see in Colombia?
Well, Colombia has a lot of diversity. There's jungle, but there's the Pacific, of course, and there is the Caribbean. So that's
Hmm.
great. And you have all these sort of like tea landscape and a lot of culture, good music. Food, I have to say, not so good.
Yes, I've heard very bad reports about the food in Colombia.
Yeah, and my wife is vegetarian.
Hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, then you're sort of forced to go to these like hipster places. I don't know if you know them. They're like almost hippie, but then way too expensive. And I don't
Hmm.
know, you get all this like fusion cuisine, and after I don't know 7 days of fusion cuisines and not talking to locals, I hate it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then it's forced because I would just go to like some kind of local place and just eat my arepa, but for my wife that's not good enough. So
Yeah.
we had a little bit of a tension about that in our holiday in Colombia, but for the rest it was great.
Hmm.
Fantastic country. So definitely a recommendation if you have time
Hmm.
to spare. We still travel, Claire.
Well, not that much. I just don't have the desire to do that. I mean, I might actually look it up on Wikipedia if somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to, Colombia or whatever," and I'll look it up and I go, "Oh, yes, yes, it's this, it's that." But yeah, I just think it's too much pressure to have
Too much
fun.
pressure.
Too much pressure to have fun and go through the whole thing of, oh, I don't know, getting on flights and whatever. I mean, I have traveled in my time, and for some reason, I just don't have the desire to do it all again. I, I,
Hmm.
I just seem,
That's
I guess, a contented sort of person. I don't have these sort of ambitions. I don't have a bucket list.
wow. You don't even like. I really can't understand that. No, that makes me very depressed if you can't do that. See new places, smell new scents, experience new things, talk to people about their life, about their situation. I mean, that's
I could
fascinating to me.
hear it at second or third hand.
Never an experience. No, you can
No.
hear it, but that doesn't have the same impact. You don't understand it. You don't feel it.
Yes, I suppose. I mean, I used to, feel how to do all those things, but for some reason I'm just sort of able to let go of these desires, you know, to be put aside for um, internet adventures, I suppose, of getting people to change their minds about certain things and revisiting old arguments about what should or shouldn't be done.
Yeah, but then I hear you. Sometimes I sort of tune in like for like 1 or 2 seconds, and I hear you speaking to Vincent, and I'm like, my God, how long have these old ladies been talking now?
Well,
So-
I
and it's
think a
never
lot of
something
it.
new as well. It's like the same subject.
Well, the thing is, it establishes a brand, right? So Vincent, I don't know if you heard to the end of my last conversation with Vincent, but I'm saying, you know, okay, it's a bit of psychotherapy, right? He's gay. He wants to be the father of something. He wants to be a cult leader. He wants to be a father of some ideology. His beyondism thing. And I was saying, well, you could be father of secular Quranism in America, and of course he won't. But
Why would
anyway,
he do that? I mean, it's not a big incentive for a gay man to.
well, because people would actually kind of do a double take and want to ask him more questions, and I can predict, oh, but won't you be thrown off tall buildings and all that sort of crap, and but then if he stuck to his guns, I think he would get a lot of publicity because actually Vincent is so perfect to be the poster boy of secular Quranism with American characteristics because he's not scary, right? He doesn't have a scary beard. He doesn't want to execute apostates. He doesn't
Well, except when he talks about incest, but for the rest,
well, he doesn't
I don't
talk
know.
about it anymore.
Okay,
Well,
that's a
he's
good
got
thing.
other
What did he
things.
again? Like he had like these like gay farms where they had like
You know
these
what he wants to
wombs
do?
and shit, and where they're breeding new gay people to have like incestuous sex and there create like the ultimate genetic specimens, like eugenic gayism. I don't know what it was. It sounded at all a little bit too creepy to me.
Yeah. So I've told him it's like, look, it's marriageability that is eugenic. Marriage is a eugenic practice because it forces you to, you know, think very carefully about who you're going to have sex and children with, and all these restrictions, blah blah blah, and of course, being gay, he wouldn't be interested in that, and then he says, oh, but these heterosexuals, they produce such ugly, fat, stupid people, and my way would they would be all young and sexy and attractive and charismatic and blah blah blah, and I thought, in a way, he's been very helpful in that marriageability is actually, you're not marriageable, however attractive you are, if you don't want to get married. You know, I think um, defining the eugenic trait of marriageability has been um, very useful for me anyway. Of course, he doesn't agree. He thinks marriageability is being young and sexy. But I'm saying it's not as shallow as that. You have to want to get married. You have to be a good spouse and produce healthy offspring and parent them properly, and then you satisfy this idea of eugenics. It's not just sort of looking young and sexy, which
Yeah,
seems to
I
be his
just
thing.
don't like the word eugenics. For me, it has a World War II kind of vibe to it. I
I know, but the
when I hear the word
Scandinavian.
eugenic already, I tune off.
Yeah, but it was actually all these eugenicists reinventing the wheel. It's sort of like marriage is already eugenic. So all these, Francis Galton and Herbert Spencer and all those people, it's like you don't need to have invented those things. And actually, even Hitler was, he was just saying there are lots of disabled people in our institutions being a charge on the state. But his Lebensborn thing was basically um, mothers for Nazis, right? Mothers for elite Nazis, and they didn't have to be married; they just had to be, available to these elite Nazis. So he didn't really believe in marriage himself. Actually, yeah, he didn't even marry Ava Brown
No,
until
no, no, he didn't. He was married to the German people. That's what he always said.
yeah, yeah. So he didn't get he didn't have the right idea at all. But I sort of think it was considerate of him to think of marrying her before they had to commit suicide. When he must have had
I mean,
so
it's the
much in
last
his
thing he could have
mind,
done, right?
the last
It's-
decent thing he could have done. You know,
yeah,
so
I don't. If secularism is ever victorious in America, can we not like both throw Vincent off a roof? That's a ceremony.
no, I have to protect my investment. And Vincent is my investment. But now it's basically he's looking for new wrong ways to try. We've been through all the religions, and now AI is going to create a religion for me. And it's like, oh yes, and what does it say? Oh, I haven't understood it yet. I haven't read it yet.
Oh,
So it is clear what he's doing, putting off the evil day because he can't find anything viable. And
and does he still have a partner, or is he now alone?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can hear him talking to his partner. Are you going out now? Can you make me coffee?
And does
That
he have
sort
a
of thing.
job now as well?
I don't ask him about his job, but I mean, he seems to be busy. It's like
Okay, well, that's fine.
when he does the housework, he talks to me.
Yeah. By the way, any of the other characters have resurfaced as of late?
Uh, SJJ, did you ever speak to him?
Maybe a couple of times. I remember he was very upset last year that I didn't uh, join his Stephen James millennial thing.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, we're doing this the millennial thing again, and um, David and Jen will be doing weekend review on the 28th of December.
they're still at it, huh? But a lot
Oh,
of
well, no,
people have
no, actually, Jen
disappeared.
must have got a job or something, and she stopped doing it for ages. But they're going to start again, and
So
maybe do
she's
it.
fired now.
Maybe I don't know. But
Yeah.
it's on the 28th on Duvet's channel if you want to go and troll them.
I just found out that I think the internet is a dark place. I've seen many people going crazy, particularly in Corona times. I think actually mainstream people are going crazy. So I think
The
half a year ago,
Europeans are going crazy.
come on, the whole American intellectual scene is going crazy. Yeah, have you followed Candace Owens as of late?
Oh God, yeah, don't tell me. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is actually
Macron is a dude.
disturbing.
Macron is a dude, really?
Mrs.
Uh,
Macron is a dude.
hmm?
Yeah, but it's like, don't you know not to do these things because it's not necessary, and B, it just makes you sound crazy. I mean, why do we talk about actual things that matter? So what I've been doing with the Americans is like George Washington's farewell speech. He warned you guys not to start, not to have political parties, but you ignored him, and so that's your problem. Oh yeah, and you don't have a religion, so that's your problem. Secular Coronism isn't a religion, so it could kind of fit into that sort of thing. They already know it. Of course, they hate it. But I've been
Mhm.
speaking to a few boomers who are well, I don't know. I mean, they're still talking to me, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, but some people seem to have a lot more social mobility than you have, Claire. I saw Andrew Wilson, our Andrew Wilson. I saw him on Piers Morgan. I mean, like, what's going on? Little Nick. Not sure I've been on a live stream with Nick, but at least I know that Brundlefly and all these other people are. It's now become sort of national celebrity.
Well, Nick Fuentes, basically doubled down and said the same thing and didn't, change his tune, and that kind of shows that being consistent gives you a brand, and people trust your brand after a few years of saying the same thing over and over again.
Hmm. Oh, well, I think he is quite smart at making himself more palatable to the mainstream. That's what he does quite well. And then on his other streams, he's like spewing his radicalism. But I don't know. It seems like also like, people haven't talked to like people like him for a very long time, so they're not sort of used to the values that his sort of viewers hold and what they think is important and what not, what is an own and what is not an own. So it's yeah, quite fascinating. I just hope it's not representative of the larger American culture where it's going.
What do you mean that this kind of Groiper aggression and anti-Semitism? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and racism. It's just vile, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So E. Michael Jones is also Catholic, but you know his position. It's like, well, I mean, Catholicism is a universal religion anyway, and E. Michael Jones is known for denying race, and saying race was just a way of dividing Americans from each other, for the convenience of the ruling classes. And but
Hmm.
anyway, they're both Catholic. They both don't like Jews, but these are the different positions. And sadly, it appears that the message of Nick Fuentes is more attractive to the young and stupid, who don't really understand what E. Michael Jones is saying. What do you think of E. Michael Jones? What do you think of him?
I have to say I don't know him very well. I what I know of him is that I don't particularly like his politics and his ideas.
Well, I've
Um,
spoken to him quite a few times over the years, so I guess I'm familiar with his style. In fact, I will be speaking to him briefly um, at 9 p.m. GMT
mhm.
to ask him a question about. Well, I'll tune in and see, and then
Yeah,
he will be appearing on Koraniyule.
interesting. Yeah, I don't actually like streams that have such a high profile. I want to keep my profile low usually, because I just don't want to associate publicly with you lot, of course, as you know, right? So I like
I
I like the small
understand.
little micro streams, but as soon as things are getting too big, even like
Well, I
100
don't think
viewers, I
I'm
think it's
going to
way
get
too much
that
for me.
big.
Hmm.
I only have what 355 subscribers, so you don't need to worry just yet.
Worrying. Yeah. No, it's true, but yeah, usually I like the micro streams, and the older I get, the more I like the micro streams,
Well,
and
you want your chat to be the comments you post in the chat to be read, right, and responded to. I think that's a pleasure of it, really.
yeah, usually it is, and I like the small little communication, and sometimes I'm just like busy with work, but then I don't know, listen to one of you lot, and then send a couple of comments your way, and then you get a response, and then I can return back to work. It has it's yeah, I kind of like it. Gives me a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, it's great that you. Well, I'm going to call this Karani, Conops on Karani.
Yeah, why not? Right? Then I have participated in the end.
Yes, and I'm so pleased that you came along. Did you ever know John Gisheler? Do you
Yeah,
remember?
yeah, I met him once or twice, I think.
Yeah. So basically, he's this Irish Catholic who um, became an Ohide, and then he converted to Judaism, and then he converted to Islam, and now
Yeah,
and then he was
yeah.
supposed to talk to me, and but he was a no-show, so that's how
Ah,
I ended
yeah.
up talking to you. But it's more fun. Well,
Great. Yeah, I
you
mean, there is something in these spheres that people are not very ideologically consistent. They do tend to shift a lot and take very radical positions and then change over time. I mean, the funniest one was John Vance. He turned from a what was it, like a Christian to a Muslim, and now he was found with like making love to a transsexual. There was like this whole sort of alt right Christian Muslim tranny pipeline. I don't know what it was, but it was sort of hilarious. Like you can't even make this shit up.
Yeah, I don't think he did actually have sex. I think he was in touch with some tranny. I think okay,
Oh, he did.
he
He didn't
keeps
even do
bluffing
that.
me.
I'm so disappointed.
No, but what he was saying about transgenderism is it was quite interesting because he was saying if a man goes through the trouble of taking hormone therapy and gender affirming surgery, then he would be more committed to behaving like a woman than a woman who was born like that. And maybe this is what he would get, a more submissive kind of sex partner than if he actually had a proper relationship with a female who was born with female sex organs. That was his point, which I thought was fair enough.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's gay.
Oh yeah, or worse. Hmm.
Yeah, I just find it. I find it just. It is quite hilarious that. So the things that people are fighting against, oftentimes, they have some inner demons to expose. For example, with Nick Fuentes, I'm sure it's homosexuality. I'm 100% sure.
Yeah, because if he didn't have sex with a woman, presumably he got horny and had sex with men, right?
Which 27-year-old that is famous and gets offers would just say, "Hey, I just refuse that because yeah, I don't know. I have to keep myself for marriage." I mean, it's just unbelievable for a heterosexual man to do that. Even if you're very sort of like Christians or whatever, at some point you might have a weak moment and you just go for it, right?
Mm. But it might be possible just to exist on porn and have sex with oneself. Maybe.
Well, I don't think the porn is really a good how do you say surrogate for the real thing.
But it's safer.
Yeah, but it's not real. It's not great.
Well, the orgasm is arrived at and the job is done.
Yeah, but
Surely that's enough.
not every orgasm is the same, Claire. You should know that.
Well, obviously some are good, better than others, but you know,
Come
if
on, tell
it's
me about your history.
there's nothing wrong. I already agree with you. Some orgasms are better than others.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, I don't know, wanking in front of a screen is just a little bit sad, and I think it's actually really to the detriment of many men that watch too much porn. I think it
But the
actually
thing is,
really.
if he had a girlfriend, I mean, the thing is, they're going to betray you. They're going to blackmail you. They're going to, maybe that was what Hitler, kind of anticipated. That if I married Ava, she would, start nagging him and,
Well,
behaving in an entitled way.
with Hitler, there's still many stories that he was supposedly a sexual freak. I don't know if it's confirmed, but there were stories about that element of his personality.
Well, I mean, he obviously sublimated his sexual urges in order to, be that, a better politician, I suppose.
I don't trust people like that. I don't trust people that don't have sex. I think they're creepy.
Well, they can't all be like you and be subjected to the same temptations that you are, which is materialism and money and power.
No, but if you deny that to yourself, there's like completely there's something wrong with it. I mean, there's something to be said about regulating it, huh? So to make sure that you don't do things you regret. But to not partake in it altogether, I don't trust it. I don't trust the Catholic priest. I don't trust any man with a dress. That's really frank. Even the fucking Dalai Lama. My mom is a fan of the Dalai Lama. And then there was this fucking incident with that he wanted to suck a child's tongue. It was fucking creepy.
Oh,
It was
yes, yes, it
really
was horrible. Oh,
yes, yeah, that was horrible. Many previous popes have sent armies of child molesters to other um, to other Catholic institutions. Well, they knew what was going on. It is. And the same, of course, with Jewish rabbis and imams. It's despicable. They all wear dresses, and they all shouldn't be trusted.
Well, if you look at the 36 capital offences of the Torah, you will find that about half of them are sexual offences, which makes it very interesting, doesn't it? So basically, the Jews, it's like, okay, they didn't have singles bars and, internet, but then they had each other, and I guess they get horny and have sex with each other, and some of that sex would be incestuous.
Yeah, the whole. I mean, the whole sort of like alt right anti women thing seems to be rather gay to me. So it's like this women are dirty, and it seems almost like a plot uh, of alt-right homosexuals to get more access to men, to convince them, to convince these young men not to have sex with women. Oh, they should have sex with men, right? And like to deprive them from that sort of space altogether. Maybe there will be more availability of these men coming out. I don't know.
Well, it's a way
It's,
of cheating, right? Because I mean, the whole idea of marriage was you're only supposed to have sex with your spouse, and only a person of the opposite sex, not within the forbidden degrees of consanguinity, is allowed to be your spouse. And if you have sex with anyone else, you're going to get punished. That was nice and easy to understand. And now, of course, nobody thinks like that. But that was the rule, wasn't it?
but Claire, I think you really try to fix these things in a cultural manner, and I think that the reason why people get married so late, but have very few children, is also primarily economic. I've
Hmm.
saw some studies about Japan, how high the cost of living is. I mean, it doesn't surprise anybody that nobody wants to have a child. I'm getting a child. No, I'm expecting a child, and I
Oh, well,
saw like
congratulations. When is it
daycare,
due?
man. That will take a couple of months.
Hmm.
But daycare, I had to register like the moment we knew she was pregnant.
Hmm.
I had to select the fucking daycare, and then the prices of the daycare, it's ridiculous. If you have minimum wage, it's impossible.
Mm.
And then you have to hope that you have a partner that has enough money so they can provide. But I mean, if you are either lower middle class, you can't afford it anymore. So it's
You
completely
you have to
impossible.
send women away from the workplace and
Yeah,
back into the home to that otherwise
but back
what is
into
the
the
point?
home and yeah, but back into the home and be very poor. So it's not like, oh, you can send somebody back in the home and then one partner can provide. That's not true. The economic institutions don't work like that. The taxes are way too high. Everything is way too high. The daycare stuff is way too high, and there are many other
That's why you
costs.
need to
The
rebase your
housing is
currency.
crazy. Hmm?
You need to rebase your currency by um, defaulting on your loans contracted under usurious terms, and that's why you have to adopt secular Quranism with
No,
Dutch
you need to
characteristics.
think about the prices of housing and the prices
It will
of
all
the
come
cost of
down
living.
once you adopt Sharia and ban usury.
There are
Of course,
plenty
it will come
countries
down.
with Sharia where the same problem applies. It's in all developed countries. I would even suspect it's in places like Qatar. And by the way, the birth rate
You
in
don't
Islamic
want
world,
to
as you
withdraw
know, is
in
going
the Gulf
down. Is going
Kingdom.
down very sharply.
What's going down very sharply?
The birth rate in Islamic
Yeah,
countries is
because
going down.
okay, it's a pill. It's a sort of
Okay.
the West saying it's
No,
okay to be married.
I think I know you have like some kind of like emotional reasons or psychological reasons why you want to introduce the Sharia, that they probably have to do with some kind of internal sexual stuff, but also with
Well, I
the
know you were
hatred of
going to say that, but
the
that
society
doesn't
that
make the
so
true.
nicely accepted you into its arms. But
Well, I
I
want to
think
help it
no, you have
solve
to think
its
about it a little bit
social and
more.
economic
Like
and political problems. Now, listen, Conops, it's been lovely having you. Elliot has a question for you. Can
Ah,
you help him? Because he's a bit concerned about Ovi. Have you been kept in touch?
no, no, no. We haven't kept in touch. I have to say, I was, I'm wondering how the guy is doing as well. I don't know if he's still alive and kicking, even because he was severely depressed and very alcoholic. So no, not been in touch. But many people have disappeared. Maybe just disappeared from the internet sphere. But yeah, haven't heard of him. No contacts. We had a bit of a fight. So yeah, I also not even interested to talk to him anymore.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I hope he didn't commit suicide or anything, but yeah, don't know where he is.
Hmm. Yeah, after moving to Idaho and finding it full of Africans, he was saying that was what he said, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, well he moved from California to what was it, Bismarck or
Idaho.
something like that? No, no, no. And I think he moved first to South or North Dakota, one of the places, and then it turned out to be like a major center for Somali refugees.
Yes, yes.
And he wanted to find a white country. So yeah, that was it was kind of funny. But I think that, I mean, like if you move house, you always take yourself with him,
Hmm.
take yourself with you. So I think he was profoundly unhappy, and people who are attracted by these ideas are usually profoundly unhappy. And also, you will find out later on in life that by trying to fix the world, you're not fixing yourself.
Well, I'm doing both, really. I'm trying to do both. Now, I
Clean your
have to
room, as Jordan Peterson says. But I think you have to go, right? So,
tidy up. Tidy up. My mind is very tidy.
okay, well,
That's
that's
all
great
I
to
can
hear.
say.
Well, it's
Yeah,
lovely to speak
my
to
desk
you.
is a bit of a mess at the moment.
Yeah. So, like, I will let you go now. So, I bid you farewell. It was nice to talk to you, and yeah, let's talk maybe soon.
Yes, yes, we might even bump into each other on the 28th on Duvid's channel and
Oh,
say hi to Jen.
oh yeah, that would be great. Jen, I miss her. All right. Bye, Claire.
Okay, thanks for coming. Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.